2 weeks getting leaner, and I want to be really hard on myself, but at the same time, I also want to take a step back and treat myself like a client. So, as an individual, as somebody who coaches myself, there's two parts. There's the person that I am, and then there's the person that I have to approach myself as if I were my own client. And I have to play both roles, play like devil's advocate. And the last 2 weeks have been the craziest. There were situations that I needed solving that got solved, things that were stressful that thankfully I'm a little bit less stress-free, or I'm more stress-free, less stress. But I have been doing the utmost that I can, and yet I know I can do more. And it's that inner conflict of, could I have done more? And the answer is no. Like, I did everything that I knew that I could, given the circumstances. And I'm getting emotional because it's like I don't want to feel the way that I feel. And I don't want to wake up the way that I do in the mornings, knowing that my full potential isn't being met. And yet I know that everything that I've prioritized was adequate. I didn't make a mistake that didn't seem sound. So I made a few mistakes, which I will highlight in just a moment. But the successes, let's always start with the wins. I always start with the wins with my clients, so let's start with the wins. One, I've been hitting the gym nonstop, and this helps a lot with my stress. So I've been high stress. My Oura ring, so if you don't know, I have an Oura ring, and it has been saying that my resilience is going down. And it's like, your recovery isn't great, but it's not just the physical recovery, because there are days that I do take it slightly easier. It is also the stress aspect of, I run my own business and I take care of clients, and to me, the responsibility of taking care of somebody's health, their nutrition and their workouts, that directly affects somebody's well-being. And I take that job very seriously. And there were certain aspects where I was like, oh my gosh, like, how do I handle this situation, or onboarding new clients? And I put a lot of pressure on myself as a coach to make sure that everybody's taken care of and that everybody feels like they know in which direction to go and they don't take the wrong road, especially when they want faster results. That is a common, I don't want to say problem, because it's not a problem. It's a drive. And I love it when people have that drive to get results quick. It's not a bad thing. It's just, we need to slow the wheels down. We need to push the brakes and ask ourselves, do we want this as a lifestyle? Or do we want this as like a quick fix right now? I'm getting ready for like a specific event and this needs to happen. And those situations are very different. There's certain people that come to me and they need to lose a specific amount of weight by a certain time, in which case we will do everything possible. And then we will try to maintain that, but it's a little harder because obviously you haven't made it a part of a lifestyle. And when I say lifestyle, taking it slower will always make things a little bit more permanent because you're not in a state of fight or flight. And also, when you're in a calorie deficit, so always when you're trying to lose fat, you're in a calorie deficit. The stronger, the higher the calorie deficit, the more erratic you can be, the more on edge you can be, the higher your cortisol might be. And the stakes are higher in every situation because your body is going through a harder time. The higher the calorie deficit, of course, the more you're burning. And yeah, great in terms of fat loss, but again, your body is your temple. It's not a machine, and you can burn out your machine. So you want to take care of it. You don't want it, you're only given one body. And I could keep going on. I could keep preaching, but you're given one body. You ruin that body. And there's so much mending that needs to happen. It's better to stay out of trouble than get out of trouble. You know that saying? It's better to stay out of trouble than get out of trouble. So a couple mistakes that I made. Number one, actually, I didn't even start with the wins, did I? Well, I did. I said I did everything that I felt I could do with the circumstances given, which I full-heartedly believe. And that is the number one question that I always ask a client when they feel disappointed in their results. when they've been doing everything that they can and then they get the results and they're like, I don't understand. I thought it would be better. You ask yourself, did you do everything that you could under the circumstances that you were given? And in my case, it was, I don't see myself doing anything differently, because if not, it would have taken away from other people's experiences. It would have diminished my work as a trainer, as a coach. And yes, it did take away from me personally, but at the end of the day, it wasn't unsustainable. And these weren't terrible mistakes. It was just, I didn't prioritize my fat loss. I just kind of stayed at maintenance for the majority of the 2 weeks. And then I would have a couple of days where I would be at a deficit. And I have endometriosis. I am extremely intolerant to many foods. I am lactose intolerant, and I'm gluten sensitive, but I think I'm becoming intolerant too because of the stress. So the higher the stress, the more I am sensitive to certain foods and the less I'm able to adapt. And especially getting sick or feeling low, or even the recovery, which makes sense, right? Your body's under a lot of stress. It doesn't have the resources to do everything. I eat a lot of fruit. Saying that out loud is like, I don't even know how to start. I ate a lot of fruit. I ate a lot of cantaloupe and bananas and kiwis. The amount of kiwis that I ate like 4 or 5 in one sitting, and it felt so good. And I love kiwis so much. However, a calorie deficit requires that you be in a deficit. It requires that you take down those calories. And if I add up all of the amount of fruit that I ate, I know that I was most likely at maintenance. Now, fruit is extremely full of nutrients, vitamins and minerals that your body needs: vitamin C, vitamin D, vitamin A, magnesium, fiber. So at the end of the day, I didn't detract from everything. And in fact, I think with the stress that I had going on, it was good that I had all that fruit, but it means I didn't stay in that calorie deficit. So I haven't been really losing weight. And here's the thing. I'm not even sure what measurement to take, because I've been under so much stress that the body scans aren't the full picture. And then the other thing is, the second mistake that I really feel like I made was I didn't prioritize when I do the body scans and under what circumstances. So I've been just going to the gym. The gym is a little bit far from where I live, so it's like I have to go out of my way. And I like to go in the evenings, so I ended up going in the evenings after I had breakfast and lunch, and sometimes I had a snack and all that fruit. And I tried very hard to stay at least 3 to 4 hours fasted before the scan, but obviously that's very different from being, for instance, 9 hours fasted. So if I come in the mornings, and this is the big change that I'm going to make this week, I'm going to go into this week going at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, having done 9 hours fasted, at least, minimum. Including water, which I hate. I love to drink a liter of water in the morning when I first wake up. It's my favorite thing to do. As soon as I wake up, I get out of bed, I drink a liter of water. But if I want the body scans to be as accurate as they can be, it's gonna take some sacrifice. So I'm gonna take my liter of water. I can always take it with me. I really like being hydrated. The third mistake that I made was I kept contemplating between this. So it's not really a mistake, but it's, did I want to track my food? And I'm still on the edge on that one. I'm like cracking my knuckles as I do it. Tracking my food on top of everything that I have going on is an added stressor. However, there's a way to do it so that if you meal prep, you already know what those macros are. You already know what the measurements are. So I kind of did already do that. I've done potatoes, and I did about 150, I think it's 150 or 130 grams of raw potato, and then I cooked it. And then I have my chicken ready, and I have a couple of other things prepped. And you can measure those, and then you don't have to measure it when you're hungry. So the biggest problem that I have is when I'm ready to eat, I'm ready to eat. If I have to take a picture of my food, I will take a picture. If I have to take a video, I'll take a video, but I want to eat. Measuring everything is like that added step. And that's where most people go wrong. I see a lot of clients get this wrong because they measure everything when they're about to eat. You're already ravenous. So to do that extra step, and then most of my clients will be like, I didn't want to weigh it because it's one extra step. I get it. I completely get it. So on a day when you have more time, like on Sundays, I have a little bit more time. So I'm going to literally prep everything and I'm going to put it into my oven safe. I don't want to call it a Tetra Pak. It's not a Tetra Pak. Glass containers where you store food. And that'll be an easy way to make sure that I'm getting the right macros. And I also need to be comfortable with being a little bit hungry. I haven't been hungry in a very long time. I don't like being hungry. I get hangry very, very easily. And after the Wednesday the Wednesday experiment where I did the body scan and I went 24 hours, no water, no food, it really taught me. I was like, you're being a baby. Like, you know, you can do this. Yes, you can complain a little bit. You have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. And I think I've not been uncomfortable with hunger in quite some time. So it's impossible to be in a calorie deficit and not experience hunger at some point. So that's a recap of the second week. I don't want to feel like I'm not putting my goals first. So I think this is the first week where I'm going to have a little bit more structure with my meals, with the routine in the morning. So I'm going to go to the gym in the morning to do my body scan. And then I think I'm going to I haven't decided, I'll decide by the end of the day whether I want to do cardio first or I want to do strength training first, and then I'll do cardio at the end of the day. To be honest, cardio is the one thing that I struggle with the most, more than strength training. So most people will say, oh, do strength training first. And from my education, we always did strength training first and then do your cardio, because you'll be able to give everything to your muscles and you'll be able to build more muscle. There's something controversial that I want to share with you, but I'm going to leave that for the next video that I will post immediately after this. But I think that needs its own separate video. So I'm going to leave that for the next video. And it's not going to be something that many people agree with. You might disagree with me on it, and that's fine. But I've thought very heavily about this. And it's not something that anybody else can decide but me. So I'll let you know in the next video.